family of 3 struck by a vehicle in Bowmanville.
A father is killed, a mother and baby girl injured. A young man charged with impaired driving. Good evening. There was a growing memorial in Bowmanville tonight as family and friends remembered the father who died. Police say the suspect's car hit another vehicle before striking the family. The driver believed to be under the influence while behind the wheel. CTV's Scott Lightfoot joins us live from Bowmanville with the story. Scott.
Well, Nathan, Spencer McCracken is being remembered tonight as a loving husband, father, brother, and friend. He and his young family just lived up the street behind me. They were often seen walking with their young daughter and dog along that sidewalk behind me, right by that spot that tonight is now a growing memorial to his life. Aside from the dogs barking, it was a quiet Sunday evening along this street in Bowmanville. Spencer McCracken, his wife, daughter, and dog were stopped in this driveway, waiting to cross Simpson Ave. Seconds later, their lives would be changed forever.
The silver car goes by, hits the SUV, and flies up over our side ramp here and ended up hitting the people.
Police have charged the driver of that car, 22-year-old Liam James Patrick Kendall, with a number of charges, including impaired operation of a motor vehicle causing death.
It's terrible.
Katie McNeil was standing in front of her home when the incident happened, initially unaware that the family had been hit.
I heard people saying, like, my baby, and then when I made my way this way, I saw how many people were actually involved.
McCracken was rushed to hospital in Toronto, but later died of his injuries.
He was an amazing guy. He looked out for everyone around him. He did anything he could for everybody.
Today, people gathered at a growing memorial to comfort each other and lay flowers, among them 2 of McCracken's co-workers.
It's tough to just get the news this morning, and I think we're all hurting. He has a big work family and a lot of support that side, but you know, he would drop anything to help anyone, give the shirt off his back to anyone. So he was an amazing man, father, brother.
McCracken's wife was taken to hospital with serious injuries. Their daughter also taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
We knew this was going to happen, and this won't be the last.
Retired police officer Rick Olson lives across the street from the crash. He says speeding has been an issue along this stretch of road for some time.
They put this crosswalk up maybe a year ago. It's done nothing. It's a shortcut down to the base line from number 2, so they don't have to get on Liberty, which is busy. And I'll sit out there and I just can't stand the speeds.
Neighbors say they've been trying to get the city to install stop signs or speed bumps here, but have been told it would impede ambulance access to nearby Bowmanville Hospital. And along with impaired causing death, Liam James Patrick Kendall of nearby Clarington is also charged with 8 other offenses, including operating a motor vehicle without insurance. Now, a GoFundMe was set up earlier this afternoon to help McCracken's wife and daughter. It has already raised more than $15,000. Reporting live in Bowmanville, I'm Scott Lightfoot. Nathan, back to you.
All right, thank you, Scott. We turn now to the historic political story unfolding in the United States. Democrats are closing ranks behind Kamala Harris as she seeks to become the party's new presidential candidate.
Harris set a new fundraising record today, and she has the backing of more than half of the Democratic delegates needed to replace Joe Biden as the nominee. CTV's Joey Malbin reports.
Surrounded by student athletes, college champions, Kamala Harris is running her own race, quickly becoming the one to beat for the Democratic nomination, praising President Joe Biden.
Joe Biden's legacy of accomplishment over the past 3 years is unmatched in modern history. In one term, he has already, yes, you may clap.
Recovering from COVID, Biden dropped his troubled re-election bid under pressure from his party, concerns over his age and ability to defeat Donald Trump. Biden endorsed Harris as his successor. A flood of support coming from top Democratic leaders like former Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
She is well equipped to prosecute, I'm going to emphasize, to prosecute the case against Donald Trump.
I haven't seen this kind of excitement in the Democratic Party in quite a long time.
We win!
Even potential running mates or possible rivals like Governors Gavin Newsom, Josh Shapiro, Gretchen Whitmer, and Kentucky's Andy Beshear all lining up to back her.
The vice president is smart and strong, which will make her a good president.
Harris inherits Joe Biden's war chest, raising tens of millions, a surge in donations in just a single day. She even has a new logo, Harris for President. The race for the White House no longer a rematch between two old men. Donald Trump at 78 complaining on Truth Social. Now we have to start all over again. Scrambling to change course, the Trump campaign out with a wave of new attack ads blaming Harris for covering up Biden's decline.
Kamala knew Joe couldn't do the job, so she did it. Look what she got done, a border invasion.
This is a whole new presidential campaign after weeks of political infighting. Harris is in a strong position to make history and secure the nomination, with just over 100 days to go before the election. Joy Malvin, CTV News, Washington.
Biden's decision is being felt around the globe, including here at home in Canada. Many people are keeping a close eye on who might compete against Donald Trump to become the next leader of Canada's closest ally and trading partner.
Yeah, he seems like he's probably too old. I think it's a good move. I think Kamala could probably run well.
I think there was a lack of confidence in him, and I think he made the right choice for what's better for the country at this point.
It's about time.
Why is that?
Where? I've always thought like he's too old for the job, so you got to have somebody in there who actually has his wits about him.
I really think that Kamala Harris is going to beat this guy, and it's going to energize all the Democratic Party, and they're going to come around and vote, because I have met so many people that do not want Donald Trump, including Republicans.
According to the U.S. Federal Voting Assistance Program, more than 600,000 voting-age U.S. citizens are living in Canada, but in the last U.S. election, fewer than 3% cast a ballot.
Also tonight, a collective cheers to the end of the LCBO strike. But the blame game continues as workers return to the job and stores reopen. The sobering details just ahead.
But first, let's take a live look outside on this Monday evening. Just a beautiful way to start the work week. The sun is shining with balmy temperatures, but will it stick around? Jessica Smith is here with a look at the current conditions. Jess.
It stays nice really for the rest of the week. We do have some midweek shower activity that will cool things down temporarily as the system sinks from northern Ontario down south. But for now, it's dry, it's pleasant, just a few little clouds out there. The bulk of the active weather we're dealing with right now into that southwestern corner towards Windsor now. We're sitting kind of still in the mid to upper 20 range, so it's still a little warm out there as we wrap up our Monday. But overall, it is beautiful and pretty seasonal as we head in towards the beginning of the week. Through the islands, through Pearson right now, we're between 23, 25, but that humidex is still very much a factor, and it feels a little closer to 30. Tonight, we'll be at 19. The seasonal norm is 17, so we're in that ballpark for where we should be. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast, including the rain on the way, but right now, it's back over to Natalie.
Okay, thanks, Jess. Still ahead on CTV News, long lineups to get to the Toronto Islands. The push to build a bridge to alleviate pressure on the city's aging ferry fleet.
LCBO workers are back on the job today after ratifying a deal reached with their employer over the weekend.
But Ontarians will still have to wait another day to buy their booze, as stores aren't set to reopen until tomorrow. CTV's John Musselman joins us live now. And John, the strike may be over, but the war of words continues.
Well, that's right, Natalie. The Premier took a shot at the union today. They responded on some of his comments at a news conference in Kitchener. But the bottom line for consumers, the LCBO outlets will reopen tomorrow morning. The strike is over, but the public won't be welcomed back into LCBO stores until tomorrow. After 2 weeks on the picket line, workers spent the day getting the stores restocked and organized. Premier Doug Ford says there is a future for the LCBO retail outlets, even with the expansion of alcohol sales into retail locations.
And it's going to be great for the people of Ontario. They have a choice. They have the convenience to go in the convenience store. They have a choice to go into a retail store, and everyone's hunky-dory.
The LCBO deal includes an 8% wage increase over 3 years, no store closures over the course of the agreement, and 1,000 casual employees to be permanent part-time positions. People we talked to today expressed mixed feelings about the strike and the expansion of alcohol sales.
We don't have to go anywhere else now.
Obviously, it affects other businesses like restaurants, you know what I mean? So I'm glad to see they're able to go back.
It was challenging to change the drinks, but everything worked out fine and we got through it.
Ford also blames the delay in getting the deal finalized this weekend on OPSEU. Ford claims the union asked that striking workers be paid for their time on the picket line.
Imagine if that's taking your tax dollars for paying people that weren't working. It's absolutely crazy. So finally, they came to their senses, the leadership came to their senses, and we got the deal signed. People are back to work.
The union hit back, saying Ford's comments are untrue. The Premier's remarks today are unequivocally false. He is either purposefully lying or confused and does not understand the basic tenets of bargaining, including the need to negotiate a return-to-work protocol once a tentative agreement has been reached. There are 680 LCBO outlets in the province, employing more than 9,000 people. The strike lasted about 2 weeks. Again, stores, retail outlets at the LCBO will reopen tomorrow morning. Reporting live in Etobicoke, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Okay, thank you, John. York Regional Police are sharing dramatic video of a shooting and arson in Markham in the hopes of making an arrest in their investigation. Detectives say the same home was targeted on 2 occasions. Last Thursday, security cameras captured several shots being fired at the house in the Winfields Road and Beckenridge Drive area. This was just after 3:30 in the morning. No one was injured. Then, just 2 days later, early Sunday morning, the surveillance camera recorded a suspect pouring a flammable liquid on a vehicle in the driveway before lighting it on fire. It didn't take long before it burst into flames. Police say both incidents were targeted, and they are asking anyone with information to contact them.
Toronto police continue to investigate after a man and woman in their 80s died following a double stabbing at a North York home yesterday afternoon. Police were called to a home near Don Mills and Cliffwood Road, just south of Steeles, shortly before 3. Both victims were taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries, where they later died. Police say the pair knew each other but have not been able to confirm the nature of their relationship. However, they say there's no concern for public safety.
There are new developments tonight in the case of an Ontario man accused of selling poisonous products online to help people take their own lives.
The top coroner in New Zealand has linked 4 cases to Kenneth Law. The details in documents obtained by CTV News. CTV's John Woodward joins us live with the latest in the international investigation into Law. Kenneth.
The coroner's reports show New Zealand has blocked access to websites that promoted Law's products, with some in this country urging Canada to follow suit.
I'm Ken, yeah.
Kenneth Law was a chef by day at Toronto's Royal York Hotel. But in his off hours, he's accused of selling poisonous products directed at those who wished to die by suicide. In Canada, police have charged him with 14 counts of murder for deaths across Ontario. Now, New Zealand's coroner's office has revealed 4 deaths of people who ordered Law's products online. 2 students aged 18 and 21, another 21-year-old, and a 40-year-old DJ and personal trainer ordered Law's products after visiting websites and discussion forums associated with Kenneth Law between 2021 and 2023, the coroner's reports say. Mr. Law lives in Canada. His activities are outside the jurisdiction of the New Zealand courts. But authorities there had ruled some sites objectionable and moved to block access. There's no legal mechanism to do that in Canada, though the federal government has introduced the Online Harms Act, which would prohibit content that encourages young people to harm themselves.
As a parent, it literally terrifies me that the most dangerous toys in my home, my children's screens, are not subject to any safety standards right now.
Family members of the dead, including the brother of Gary Cooper, have called for more action, especially on suicide discussion forums.
Not next month, not next year. They need to be stopped now.
Worldwide, the number of deaths attributed to Law's products have risen to 129, according to a tally by CTV News, a tally that climbed again after today.
Law has denied the charges, and he has said he's not responsible for what people do with his products. He's not facing any charges in New Zealand, and his Canadian trial is expected to start next year. Reporting live, I'm John Woodward. Natalie, back to you.
Okay, thank you, John. And our coverage of this story continues online. You can get more details and follow the latest developments in the Kenneth Law investigation on our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For many, a trip to the Toronto Islands is meant to be a relaxing escape from the hustle and bustle of the city.
But lately, people say the journey to get there is anything but. From long lineups to crowded ferries, some are questioning whether the trip is even worth it. CTV's Beth McDonnell joins us live with the latest. Beth.
Natalie, at the ferry terminal today, we met several people who had strategically planned their trip to Toronto Islands today and not on the weekend. They didn't want to get stuck in a long line. People standing in the heat Saturday. This was the line for the ferry to Toronto Islands. Here's imaging showing the distance of that line stretching from the terminal to Queens Quay and around the block in front of Weston Harbour Castle.
There's no chance on a Saturday or Sunday. I had a friend actually who came down from Oakville on Sunday, and he said he waited an hour and a half in line, and he had like a small kid.
Raza Razul lives nearby and says he sees lines on the weekend often. It's why he opts to visit the park with his family on a quieter day, and he's not alone.
I feel sorry for them. And unfortunately, I'm retired, so I can come during the week when there aren't the crowds here.
Pretty ridiculous right now, and it's a perfect storm for waiting for 5 hours in the sun. Took the day off and came.
The mayor says 4 ferries were running on the weekend at full capacity. Still, the vessels being used by the city's fleet are between 61 and 114 years old, with 2 in need of replacement. Despite an almost decade-long effort to get new ones, the process has stalled until now.
Should it be electric? Should it not be electric? Oh, well, okay, maybe we'll do electric. Now that we have electric. Okay, all right. So finally, council said, yes, we're putting the contract out, and that was what was approved in June.
But now, some also believe it's time to forge a new path with a bridge. With a motion from Councillor John Burnside, the city has started studying the issue. This is a rendering of a crossing for pedestrians from a Toronto lawyer who ran for council 2 years ago. She says there is only 250 meters between the Portlands and Wards Island. Accessing the island's green space, she says, is an equity issue for many living in the core.
It should be free for everybody to access and easy for everybody to access. And right now it really isn't.
The cost to realize such a project will surely be an issue in a city this man says needs more options for families.
I think just more ways to get to the island, more ways to do fun things outside in the summer would be great. But like, when I see it, I'll believe it. It's one of those things the city promises and then they don't deliver.
And so he joins the people looking for a day of island fun without the fuss of a long wait in line. A staff report on the 2 new electric ferries is going to council on Wednesday. The city told me it couldn't disclose the price tag of those ferries at this time. Councillor Burnside has previously said the cost has ballooned from around $3.5 million to more than $9 million. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell. Natalie, back to you.
All right, thank you, Beth. Residents of the city's Don Valley West ward will soon be choosing a new representative at Toronto City Hall. A by-election is set for the fall, with nominations for the councillor seat opening today. Making it official at the City Hall elections counter today. Political hopefuls signing up for a shot at a council seat to represent Don Valley West.
We know what we want. We want more affordable housing. We want it now. We want a transit system that works for us. We want our roads repaired. We want to feel safe when we're going out in public.
The North York seat had been held since 2010 by Jay Robinson, who died of cancer in May. With the by-election to replace her now set for November 4th, the nomination period opened today.
I've been working with that community for over 15 years, and my priority right now is the Ontario Science Centre.
Former mayoral candidate Anthony Furey among the cohort of candidates with a Respect for Taxpayers pledge that he gained ground with during the race for mayor.
Over the course of the past year, my love for the city and my passion for the issues and my commitment to the city has only grown. And while I would like to think that the quality of life indicators that really matter to folks all across this city have improved the past year, I think it's fair to say that we're still struggling with a number of challenges.
The TTC chair's director of transit policy, though, came armed with endorsements, touting his track record at City Hall and beyond.
My entire life is a series of putting my hand up and working hard to actually accomplish things for people.
Drew has been pivotal in helping us work together, find motions, find ways to get things done, ways to get things passed, get problems solved, and get the TTC on a better track.
From transit to traffic, housing, and affordability. Many of the issues citywide are priorities within the ward. Don Valley West voters decide in November. Interested candidates have until September 19th to register to run.
It's been a year since strong mayor powers were granted in Ontario, but most mayors have not made use of them. The Ford government introduced the powers to mayors of the province's largest cities last summer. They allow the leaders to propose bylaws and pass them with the support of just 1/3 of councillors. They can also veto bylaws as well as hire and fire city department heads. Among the high-profile mayors who made use of the powers are Hamilton's Mayor Andrew Horwath, who advanced an affordable housing development, and former Mississauga Mayor Bonnie Crombie, who used them to push through legislation on fourplexes.
In BC, a series of wildfires has prompted evacuation orders for some residents. The blazes in the south and east were caused by lightning. People in Ashcroft, Spence's Bridge, and Cache Creek are preparing to leave, and a wildfire near Williams Lake has forced some to flee as part of a tactical evacuation. A section of the Trans-Canada Highway is also shut down. There are 175 out-of-control blazes burning in BC.
And in northern Alberta, thousands of residents have been forced from their homes. Crews are battling a number of wildfires that are threatening the area. There are about 160 active blazes in the province. 52 are considered out of control.
On the East Coast, more than 7,000 residents of Labrador City are returning. An evacuation order was lifted today after about a week. It was issued as a wildfire moved toward the town. Essential workers and their families were allowed back over the weekend. The staggered return plan is intended to allow for a safe and orderly process. The fire is now considered very low risk.
In the Gaza Strip, medics say at least 70 Palestinians were killed by Israeli fire in the greater Khan Yunis area today. At least 200 others were injured. Officials say there were tank salvos in towns on the eastern fringe of the southern city, and the area was also bombarded from the air. Displaced people were once again forced to flee as Israel sent tanks back in. It followed an Israeli order telling people to leave an area designated as a humanitarian zone. But Palestinian officials say people were not given time to get out of harm's way. Israel said it is planning an operation against Hamas in the area. Gaza health authorities report there have been over 39,000 people killed in the territory since the war began.
Global Affairs is gathering information after Israeli police said a Canadian citizen was killed after allegedly threatening security forces. The Israelis say the man drove to the entrance of a town near the Gaza border today. They say he left his vehicle with a knife and approached the local security patrol. He was shot. Global Affairs says it has not confirmed the man's identity. The Israeli military has announced the death of 2 additional hostages in the Gaza Strip. The military says it believes Alex Danzig and Yagiv Buchstab are no longer alive. The decision was based on intelligence information. The bodies are still held by Hamas in Gaza. The group abducted about 250 people during the deadly October 7th attack on southern Israel. Around 120 are still being held. About a third of them are believed to be dead.
In Washington, the director of the U.S. Secret Service was grilled for nearly 5 hours by lawmakers seeking accountability following the attempted assassination of Donald Trump.
The Secret Service's solemn mission is to protect our nation's leaders. On July 13th, we failed. As a director of the United States Secret Service, I take full responsibility for any security lapse of our agency. We are fully cooperating with ongoing investigations.
The hearing ended with bipartisan leaders of the House Oversight Committee calling for Kimberly Cheadle to resign. But she said that she believes she's the right person to lead the agency at this time and will do everything possible to determine what went wrong.
In Ohio, Trump's running mate made his first solo campaign appearance today, speaking about the woman who will likely be facing off against his boss in November.
If you want to run for president, you've got to make your case to voters. You make your case to voters. That's what President Trump did, even though he would have already been the president. And even though he was by far the most popular person in the Republican Party, he ran for the Republican presidential nomination. He faced some good competition, and he made his case to voters. The idea of selecting the Democrat Party's nominee because George Soros and Barack Obama and a couple of elite Democrats got in a smoke-filled room and decided to throw Joe Biden overboard, that is not how it works. That is a threat to democracy, not the Republican Party.
J.D. Vance appeared at his former high school in his hometown of Middleton. The Republican vice presidential nominee also has an event in Radford, Virginia, as he works to introduce himself to voters.
In the UK, the royal family celebrated a birthday today. Prince George is now 11 years old, and a new photo of the birthday boy was released. The image was taken by his mother, the Princess of Wales, and shows the second in line to the throne smiling and wearing a suit. George's parents have sent out portraits of George nearly every year to mark his birthday. He is older brother to Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis.
Still ahead on CTV News, is Hollywood behind Harris? The power of celebrity endorsements in the race for U.S. president.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, shoplifting is a growing problem costing retailers billions of dollars a year. While some people may think of it as a petty crime, if you're caught, you could be charged, convicted, and end up with a criminal record. I'll have my reports just ahead.
And it's been a pretty seasonal start to the week, but the heat is on as we head into the next few days. Nothing extreme, of course, but it will be warmer in comparison to the weekend. The hot spot today, our friends out in Peterborough. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast. And stay with us. We have another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
Shoplifting and retail theft have become a $5 billion annual problem that leads to higher prices for everyone else.
Due to inflation and the high cost of living, there's been an increase in shoplifting, but if you're caught doing it, it can have serious consequences. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Nathan and Natalie. Some may think shoplifting is a petty crime that will get someone a slap on the wrist, but retailers are concerned about losing money and are cracking down on theft. If you're caught, you could have a criminal record that will impact your future. Shoplifting has always been a problem for retailers, but now there is a growing concern over how brazen the stealing has become. Theft happens on a daily basis at many stores, and more retailers want to prosecute those responsible.
It is unfortunately getting worse, and stores are implementing various measures.
Sam Rad, a business consultant and former president of the Paralegal Society of Canada, says there are programs that could help a first-time offender avoid prosecution in some circumstances. But for those convicted of shoplifting, they will end up with a criminal record, which will change their life.
Then you would have to go through the process of getting pardoned from the National Parole Board. With a criminal record, you would be inadmissible to go to the United States. You could potentially hinder yourself in getting employment.
Theft is also a major problem at the LCBO. A spokesperson told CTV News it does not share theft details, but Peel Regional Police say last year in just Mississauga and Brampton, there were more than 3,500 cases of shoplifting at LCBO stores.
Theft for sure is on everybody's mind, so general shoplifting.
The Retail Council of Canada says escalating violence and weapons being used during thefts is also concerning for businesses, as well as organized crime and group theft.
Where you have multiple people, 3, 4, 5, going into a retail environment and stealing in bulk. Shopping carts full, bagfuls of merchandise.
Stores are faced with increasing security while at the same time trying to make sure shoppers have a positive retail experience. Rad says to anyone considering shoplifting, don't do it.
Don't take the risk. It is not worth it. And the spending money on the legal fees and going through the criminal justice system and the public embarrassment and embarrassments amongst family, it is not worth it.
And the Retail Council says businesses lose almost 2% of their profits every year to shoplifting and retail theft. And when that happens, higher costs are then passed on to everyone else. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
All right, talking about the forecast, and I'm happy for the kids that are off school, maybe at camps. Last week we had pretty much a washout, but this week looks pretty good.
Yeah, if you want to throw a football around like Nathan this evening, maybe a swim, take your dog out.
Listen, I'll be getting my steps in after work. It's nice, though. We have the kind of weather to start the week off that is that sweet spot where it's not too hot. We're not having to put on a layer into the evenings, but we're holding on to this really beautiful forecast for today, for tomorrow, and then things get a little messy as we head in towards the middle of the week. But don't worry, it's not a wash. I know we're still recovering from all the rain we had last week, but we are looking at about another 10 millimeters midweek. But for now, we're holding on to a pretty decent forecast, and it really started early on this morning. We had a pretty nice start to the day temperature-wise, kind of in that upper teen range. So if you were out early for a walk, getting your steps in, it was fantastic. It's still a little fresher down by the water, but not cold by any means. We're holding on to this picturesque type of summer forecast throughout the day today and the day tomorrow before a bit of a system pushes its way in, set to bring a little rain midweek. We'll take a look at our temperature map, and we're holding on right now. Pretty nice. 25, it feels like 30. We've seen a little cloud cover move in as we've made our way in towards the evening. Watching some rain just kind of southwest of us, but for the most part, it's a pretty nice night as we step in towards kind of the end of our Monday. Temperature-wise, it is going to continue to kind of impact us as we head in towards the evening, and then overall, it's going to be quite beautiful. Now, we're looking at our daytime high, kind of getting in towards a more seasonal mark as we head into the day tomorrow. We're having a few technical difficulties with our temperature map here, but anyways, what I can tell you is it's going to be quite dry as we head through the rest of our evening. Now, stepping in towards the day tomorrow, we start off with a decent amount of sunshine, and then we are going to see things start to shift just a little bit as we head into the afternoon and early evening. We're going to see, again, the chance of a few showers into the second half of our day tomorrow, but not so much for the downtown core. There we go, but mostly throughout the GTA. Tonight, pretty seasonal, sitting at about 19. Into the day tomorrow, 28. It'll feel like 34. Almost everybody in the upper 20s, but we're feeling that heat just a little bit more tomorrow. Right now, bookended by a couple different systems, but for the most part, we're dry throughout this evening. It's into the day tomorrow that things start to shift just a little bit. As we step in towards our evening, the rest of it, we're watching for just a few passing showers. And then really we kind of settle into a beautiful sunny start to the day tomorrow. As we step in towards our Tuesday afternoon, some spotty showers around the GTA, but for the most part, the downtown core staying pretty dry. The bulk of the rain is further north. As we head throughout our Wednesday, a little more consistent shower activity as that same system north kind of rotates and sinks its way just a little further south. Temperature-wise, again, we're around the seasonal mark throughout the day tomorrow and towards our Wednesday. The spotty shower activity, not so much in the core, but we're looking more in the vicinity of southern Ontario. And then as we head in towards our Thursday, we're going to start to see things start to taper off. As we get in towards our Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we hold on to a lot more high pressure, and it'll really be quite nice as we settle in towards the end of the week. Looking ahead to Monday, we're climbing into the 30s, so not quite heat warning criteria, but overall it'll be quite nice. But again, that rain system, I correct myself, on Wednesday we're looking at that 10 millimeters or so, and then it tapers off as we head in towards our Thursday. A little midweek rain, Nathan, no big deal, but I'm focused on the sunshine as we head in towards the end of the week. I'll send it back over to you.
All right, good to know. Thank you, Jess. Still ahead on CTV News, Lego Animation tells the tale of Pharrell Williams' life. The star will be here on the red carpet to tell Toronto all about it when TIFF comes to town. We're getting details of a dramatic rescue operation that unfolded today during a fire in Hamilton. The blaze broke out on the third floor of the YMCA on James Street this afternoon. Multiple people were trapped inside, with some hanging out the windows.
Hamilton Fire conducted a search and rescue operation using 3 aerial ladders to help. In total, 24 residents were rescued from the building. 11 were taken to various Hamilton hospitals, and 2 people have been admitted to the ICU. Tonight, efforts are underway to find temporary homes for the 173 residents who were registered for rooms at the YMCA. We continue to monitor the story, and we'll have the latest tonight at 11:30. Meanwhile, Hollywood and politics have had a long relationship. Star power and deep pockets often offering a significant political boost.
And now, once again, A-listers are throwing their support behind the person many believe will be the Democratic nominee for president. CTV's Andrea Case has the story.
It was George Clooney who started the ball rolling publicly on July 10th. A self-admitted friend and supporter of President Joe Biden who went on the record, writing an op-ed for the New York Times saying, "I love Joe Biden, but we need a new nominee." Now he has one. Clooney, along with fellow big donors like filmmaker and actor Rob Reiner, who recently hosted Harris at his home for a fundraiser for the Biden-Harris campaign, are behind Harris. The campaign has now been renamed Harris for President. With it comes all the money previously raised for the Biden-Harris campaign and the tens of millions which have come in the last 24-plus hours. Ariana Grande posted on her Instagram story, "Today I want to offer my full support and endorsement for Kamala to be the nominee of our party this year. Democrats, it's time to come together and beat Trump. Let's do this." Singer John Legend said he was grateful for the grace and patriotism Biden had shown and is supporting Harris, posting, "Elect Kamala Harris as our president. She's ready for this fight, and I'm excited to help her in any way I can." Harris has a trusted and tested record, according to Oscar winner Jamie Lee Curtis, adding that she has been a fierce advocate for women's rights and people of color, and her message is one of hope and unity for America at a time of great national divide. Kerry Washington played a Washington fixer in Scandal and has been politically active since 2016. She writes, "Harris can and will win this," adding, "I believe in her and I believe in us. Let's go." And Oscar winner Spike Lee posted, once again, "A sister comes to the rescue." Who is coming to former President Trump's rescue? A number turned up at the Republican National Convention last week. Hulk Hogan in a shirt-ripping endorsement, Kid Rock, Dana White, UFC mogul, and model and rapper and entrepreneur Amber Rose, who called the crowd her people. Lee Greenwood, who has for years supported Trump with what has now become his theme song, God Bless the USA. He was also back again. Andrea Case, CTV News.
And music is set to be front and center at the Toronto International Film Festival this year.
Might seem crazy what I'm about to say.
When I was a kid, I knew I was different.
Pharrell Williams will be here talking about Piece by Piece, a film that tells the story of his life story through Lego animation. Bruce Springsteen and Elton John are also among the celebrities expected to walk the red carpet. They also have films about their lives and careers, which will be shown at TIFF in September.
Still to come tonight, decoding Canada's grocery store code of conduct. All major retailers have signed on, but what will that mean for shoppers?
He was an amazing guy. He looked out for everyone around him. He did anything he could for everybody.
Updating our top stories, in Bowmanville, a man was killed, his wife and daughter injured when they were struck by a vehicle last evening. A 22-year-old Liam man faces a number of charges, including impaired operation of a motor vehicle causing death.
It's going to be great for the people of Ontario. They have a choice. They have the convenience to go in the convenience store, they have a choice to go into the retail store, and everyone's hunky-dory.
Workers are getting ready for the reopening of LCBO stores tomorrow. After 2 weeks of being closed, the strike is over, but the government and the union continue to blame each other.
Joe Biden's legacy of accomplishment over the past 3 years is unmatched in modern history. In one term, he has already, yes, you may clap.
Since being endorsed by Joe Biden, Kamala Harris has secured over half of the delegates she'll need to earn her party's presidential nomination. Harris says she will unite the Democrats and the nation.
Remember to keep up to date day and night through our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca, and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photos, or video of breaking news, let us know.
Oil prices are struggling with crude hitting a 5-week low today. Andrew Bell of B&M Bloomberg has the details in business.
Hello there. This summer has been rough on oil. Crude traded near $78 a barrel today, the lowest since mid-June, before rebounding later. Worries about an economic slowdown and a drop in demand have hurt oil prices, but crude in North America is still up about 11% this year. If U.S. President Joe Biden's decision not to seek re-election means a second term for Donald Trump, that could push down oil prices because Trump will be likely to encourage increased U.S. production. Analysts at Morgan Stanley say the oil market will probably be in surplus next year. More companies are coming off the Toronto Stock Exchange because public investors aren't willing to pay up for their shares. Sleep Country Canada jumped almost 30% today after the mattress seller accepted a $1.7 billion takeover bid from Fairfax Financial, the insurance and investment company. Meanwhile, Toronto-listed Hamilton Thorne, a supplier of products for reproductive clinics and cell biology, agreed to a takeover bid from a private equity firm in a deal worth $388 million. And finally, pain continues for airline investors. Air Canada cut its profit forecast for the year. Like other airlines, the carrier is having trouble filling its planes at lucrative prices. The stock fell just over 2%, bringing its decline this year to 11%. And shares in European discounter Ryanair plunged 17%. That carrier said summer fares will be, quote, materially lower as consumers grow more cautious. On the markets, the Canadian dollar was at 72.71 US cents, down just over 1/10 cent. WTI oil, North America's benchmark, ended at $79.78, down 35 cents. Western Canadian Select oil was at $63.42 US a barrel, down $2.59. And the TSX Composite ended at 22,872.65, up just over 182 points, but still a bit below last Tuesday's record high close. That's the latest in business. I'm Andrew Bell of BNN Bloomberg.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
A recall has been issued for a baby cereal due to potential bacterial contamination. The recall is for Baby Gourmet Foods organic cereal and applies to the company's banana raisin oatmeal organic whole grain cereal. The bacteria can cause serious or fatal infections to the bloodstream, central nervous system, and intestines. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency says contaminated food might not look or smell spoiled, but can still make you sick. No incidents have been reported. The cereal should be thrown out or returned to the location where it was purchased.
All of Canada's big grocery store chains have now signed on to a code of conduct. The initiative is designed to protect consumers, but what will it actually mean for shoppers and their wallets? CTV's Sam Hoop has the details.
It's no secret that a full load of groceries today will set you back a fair chunk of change.
I think the prices of groceries are very high for what value you're actually getting.
They're pretty expensive, some good sales, but you have to shop around.
And the same goes for grocery store suppliers, which have faced a spike in fees in recent years just to keep products on the shelves of Canada's major grocery chains.
We've seen it actually become openly antagonistic.
Relationships have become very strained. We have a lot of finger pointing going on in the industry.
It has spurred the call for a Canadian grocery code of conduct to keep larger grocers in check.
What the code of conduct does is set some limits on what they can do and what they can ask for to sort of level the playing field between retailers and their suppliers.
The big five have signed on. That's Loblaws, Sobeys, Metro, Costco, and Walmart. Food experts say what matters now is compliance.
They are endorsing the code, but will they follow the rules? That's really the key here.
As for whether the code will end up lowering food prices, it's too early to say for sure.
My guess is that it will stabilize the food inflation over time, anywhere between 1.5 to 2.5% instead of seeing it like a 10%, for example.
There's no doubt that this is going to have a positive impact on the supply chain and on costs in the supply chain. I think in turn that's bound to have some positive impact on prices.
Under no circumstances is a grocer going to say, oh, we're making fewer concessions from our suppliers. Let's lower prices so that we squeeze ourselves even further in the other direction. It just doesn't make strategic sense.
Sam Haupt, CTV News.
The city opened a building today which will provide affordable rental housing to marginalized members of Toronto's Indigenous community. Mayor Olivia Chow is on hand to help cut the ribbon at the property on Carlton Street. It was formerly used as an office space before being acquired by the city and redeveloped. It includes 9 studio units and will be operated by the Native Men's Residence, which aims to give Indigenous men experiencing homelessness a safe and affordable place to live.
This small but mighty affordable housing lift up all our spirit because this is truly affordable. It's a third of the residents' income, not 80% market. We've changed the affordability criteria, that affordable is not market-based, it's based on the person's income.
The Native Men's Residence says all of the units in the building are full.
Still ahead on CTV News, after years of wrangling, a $1.2 billion project will finally break ground. A look at Calgary's new sports arena coming up.
Countdown to Paris and the grand entrance at the Games.
They look like $1 million when I walk into the stadium.
Dressed for sports success, high performance meets high fashion at the Olympics. We will have that story and more later on CTV National News.
And a reminder, the CTV News at 6 podcast is available as a download every weeknight, and a special What's Up to those of you listening to the newscast live on News Talk 1010.
Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app. Answering the call.
Thank you, Pat, for getting my money back.
Exposing new scams.
So you're saying I've been hacked?
Making it right.
Thank you, CTV News.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, CTV.
On your side, I'm Pat Foy.
Weeknights on CTV News at 6.
Finally tonight, construction has begun on the new $800 million arena for the NHL's Calgary Flames.
The city unveiled the design today. The rink will be called Scotia Place and will have a seating capacity of more than 18,000. It is scheduled to be completed in 2027 and is being built near the Saddle Dome and its iconic saddle-shaped roof. The arena is part of a $1.2 billion event center and entertainment district near the city's downtown.
All right, to the forecast. One last look. How are things looking tonight?
Pretty nice. I mean, we're holding on to some heat into the early evening, so if you do want to get outside, still bring water with you. The heat can still sneak up on you, but we're looking at a really seasonal start to the week, and it's going to be fantastic as we head into the day tomorrow as well. A little midweek shower activity is going to cool things down ever so slightly, but probably welcome for some who don't love the heat and humidity. Not much going on in the way of active weather right now for the GTA. It's focused into that southwestern corner. Now, temperature-wise, right around the Golden Horseshoe, we're sitting comfortably in the mid-20s, still feeling into the low 30s. But if you're getting those steps in tonight, we're kind of in that 25-degree range for the most part until we get to about 11 p.m., so still quite nice. Heading in towards our Tuesday, again, pretty seasonal. We get into Wednesday, a little rain on the way, and then a bit of a cool down into Thursday before a stretch of sunny and beautiful days.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jess. Be sure to join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Sean Leathong with our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and all of us here at CTV News, thank you for watching and have a good night.